All right. Hopefully everybody is ready for Spark the Electric Jester 2. So feel free to take it away. We are right back here today with Spark the Electric Jester 2. Hopefully everybody is ready for it. So feel free to take it away, Tempest Mask.
Heck yeah. All right. Assuming that I am indeed live right now, hello, friends and fellow gamers. As Sam here said, my name is TempestMask1000. Some of you know me as Steve. And yes, this game is Spark the Electric Jester 2, the sequel to the first game, a series of indie titles by one Lake Peppered, hailing from... Wait, hang on a sec. Sorry. From Brazil, excuse me. Yeah, sorry. I'm obviously on half energy. I just literally came back from work, and I think I've already forgotten some of my notes. We're gonna roll with it. It's the usual Steve stuff. But yeah, anyway, no. Shout out to Lake Peppered for making the Spark games, and the category. Please ignore my dog, by the way. That I'm going to be running today is any percent minimum tech. So what does that involve? Well, we're going to be doing this a little bit differently than what you might recall if you have seen this game run at Games Done Quick Express back in 2019. How that went was there was a trick called switch boosting, and it's pretty effective. It's actually the fastest trick used for the normal any percent run. The big difference here is in minimum tech, this is banned, so I will use everything else at my disposal. With that in mind, we will start the time specifically once I get past a level called Fark School. This serves as your usual tutorial level of sorts, and we start the timer once we select Quit to Menu, because that immediately sends us right into the first level of the game, FM City. So, let us just make sure we are good to go there. Oh, I just lost my just lost sight of my window. Let me pull that back up. Aside from that, real quick, I do believe we have an incentive. So, Sam, how are we doing with that?
Your incentive has been met.
Let's go. So, I get, first and foremost, excuse me, I seem to have actually lost my game window to the ether. I am going to need a brief moment to pull it right back up. So, could we actually just pause my feed for a moment, because I literally do not know what just happened. But I'm gonna have to X out for just a moment here. I swear this is absolutely blessed. Well, now you get to see the proper title screen. There we go. Okay, cool. Thanks for putting up with that. And without further ado, let's actually get this run going for real now. And I do not care if the timer does not auto-split to this. It just means I will not be able to do this loadlessly, and it is what it is. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. But, yeah, there's a lot to talk about here. Okay. Right then. So, we'll start the timer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, and we're off. So, you may or may not have heard of Spark the Electric Jester. In case you haven't, this is a series of Sonic the Hedgehog-inspired indie games, and how it works is it also takes a little bit of inspiration from Kirby. So Spark 2 would obviously pick up on the whole inspired copy abilities idea known as Jester powers. Now, this character I'm playing as is Fark. He is the Metal Sonic and Shadow the Hedgehog rolled into one role within this universe, and he is our main protagonist of the game as compared to Spark, who has taken a major backseat, only really showing up at the introduction cutscene, where we get a little flashback reminding us, hey, this is what he did to save the world the last time, and now here we are. So that was FM City. And that right there was our first level indeed. You saw me use a special little trick called magnet dashing. Anybody familiar with Sonic Frontiers speedrunning would know that trick also happens to have a place in that run as well. And that was a little unfortunate of a speed boost, so let's just go ahead and try this again with a little bit of a backup here involving the Plasma Sword ability. We'll talk a little about my powers once I get a good point for that, but all you need to know right now is currently loaded into my palette is Plasma Sword, Edgy, and Power Armor. Each of those three will serve as my base kit, but because we met the incentive, I will be loading up the Hammer Jester power, which never really has a purpose in the main run itself, and I'll be using that for the penultimate boss fight, because for the final boss fight, you are stuck using a particular ultimate form, and the game never lets you choose that. My rival, though, for this category, Nick Cart, did manage to make a lot of discoveries because he is a Fark-only runner at first before having delved into labbing things out for this category, and thus managed to find that you can indeed fight the Freon Mark Ultimate battle by using just plain old Fark by a little bit of special manipulation going on, so yeah, pretty cool stuff. And with that, we will now go ahead into our first boss fight. So this will be the Rhino Dino battle. Shout out to Bigfoot, Littlefoot, whatever it's called from the hero story. And this is how we're going to do combat. So this game has sort of a Devil May Cry light style of sorts. And you're noticing I'm using the parry feature, which is filling up my energy gauge for each successful parry. And once it reaches halfway through, it goes into 2 times damage and then 3 times damage. Sometimes I might switch my difficulty in the options menu to Challenge Jester, which will mean that Fark gets killed in 2 touches, but he will gain an increased attack power as a result of that. So if I'm feeling pretty lucky, you'll see me utilize that. Otherwise, I am playing off of normal difficulty, which is the lowest allowed difficulty of the speedruns. Or at least I think so anyway. I believe we also allow easy, we just ban casual. So we are now moving into Floria Highway.
You weren't kidding. That guy was just straight out of SA2 Hero Story.
Exactly. Yeah, this game rests on its laurels for its inspiration, but also finds its own footing as well, I would argue. So, yeah, you could say this is Indie Sonic the Hedgehog for all you want, but I definitely will say that this game series has indeed evolved, and tremendously so. Because Spark 2 is the first of the 3D games. The previous one was completely 2D. And fun fact, runs on the same engine as Freedom Planet 1, so feel free to check it out if you're interested. It's pretty cheap stuff, and it also goes in a pretty nice and convenient bundle featuring, I believe, all of Lake Fepard's current creations, including his latest... ooh, that's unfortunate. Including his latest game, XF Extreme Formula, which is an F-Zero inspired time, and it's in early access, so you can't go wrong with Lake's games. They really rock. You might also recall that, like, if you've heard the name before and you can't quite put your finger on it, he's also made a few Sonic fan games beforehand, which actually served as inspiration for Spark's design. And so, yeah, if you're familiar with Sonic Chrono Adventure before the sequel and after the sequel, that was also Lake's doing. So yeah, really shout out to Lake Fepard. Truly pretty way past cool dev, if you get my drift. So let's see here. Let's fall right to here. So that right there is a trick that I believe Haxum calls a gem, JEM, a jump extension magnet, which involves me using the magnet dash in the exhausted magnet dash form. So magnet dashing, I actually forgot to properly explain that one. It's when you do the Jester dash, the homing dash equivalent on an enemy, but then you interrupt that using the normal dash, I guess you could say slow dash, if you will. I'm basically using it right now in midair, so like this right here. If I interrupt the initial launch of the homing attack, then it will launch Fark really far, and it is the most easy trick of the run to learn. It's also absolutely making a triumph. It also made a very triumphant return in Spark 3, one of the tricks that Lake willingly allowed to carry over between games, as a few things that you can find here are not doable in Spark 3, but that's perfectly understandable, I would say, and switch boosting was indeed one of them.
We love devs that actually let you use your speedrun tech.
Oh yeah, I mean, I will say, Lake has made some changes that will differ depending on which patch you run, meaning that some of the tricks you're about to see me do might not be viable in other versions, but we'll just put it this way, that he does allow you to go into the Steam Betas feature, and you can down patch to your heart's content. It's completely legal for the leaderboard as well. And that right there was a little wall clip to skip out the mini-boss that was guarding the goal at the end. So I'm actually going to just quickly do myself a favor. I'm going to lose focus for just a second right there, because I did want to remember to close my OBS preview on my window, because I feel like that was causing the little slowdowns. This game is a bit resource heavy. I would say optimizations were done a little bit better for Spark 3, which also, if you're curious about playing on console, Spark 2 does have an Xbox One port, but Spark 3 actually recently got a Switch port as of, I think it launched last month. So if you'd like to give it a shot, big shout out to Freak Zone Games for picking up publishing rights and helping Lake make the process of bringing this to to everyone's favorite Nintendo home console all the easier. But also shout out to Lake for the solo effort he put into making that Xbox One port. Seriously, mad respect for that. And now we are in Floria Plant. So again, you're going to see me do a lot of flying and speeding and all that stuff. So yeah, do not mind whatsoever. It's all according to plan. And so, as we go through, I should explain that the little jump extension I'm using with Edgy Jester, that's all part of the charge attack that you have through the shoulder button or your strong attack button, which is why, at least in the case of an Xbox controller setup, you also got triangle for the PS setup, which I do have a DualSense, but depending on how I'm trying to play the game, I typically go with the Xbox format for Spark. But Nick, the magnificent legend, manages to make do with a keyboard and a mouse. It's truly incredible and something I didn't quite think possible, because even Lake himself recommends that you play this on a controller, so definitely shout out to Nick Cart for that. Alright, so as we move from Floria Plant onto Turbo Bird, this is going to be a boss that will have a desperation move that will allow him to basically fly over the arena. And so I'm just going to hand it over to Sam for anything to talk about, because, again, it's second verse, same as the first. Assume that any boss fights I'm going through is all going to be about parrying to build up the damage increase, and then just trying to use power armor because it has the fastest combo speed for it, so just put those two together, really. Alright, Sam, take us away.
Alright, so there has been no new donations yet, but as you might be aware, we are raising money for Save the Children here today. And if you have any interest in donating towards an incentive, we do have one for next week for Suda Regalia. But to talk about Save the Children a little bit, Save the Children supports children from early childhood through basic education programs and beyond, ensuring that children are able to learn and thrive all across the world. So that is what we are raising money for here today, so get those donations in.
Heck yeah. Also, hi, Nick. Good to see you. Alright. Shout out to Nick in the chat. Heck yeah. Alright, so we have taken down Turbo Bird, and now we're going into Floresta Blanca. I really do appreciate that Lake lends a little bit of sometimes Spanish into the level names. It's pretty nice. I like a little bit of variety like that, and takes me back to my middle school days of learning the language. For sure, for real. And then go do this. There we go. So that is what I'm sure enough people that might have tried the speed run would have gotten their first exposure to the exhausted magnet dash from. How that exactly works is if Fark pulls off the magnet dash while all of his normal dashes are expended midair, you go vertically flying. It's a very good source for vertical stuff altogether, and just a very, very, very handy thing to do. You saw me do it to get up to that platform there. That's personally my way of doing things. I'm pretty sure there's an even faster way of going about stuff. And overall, just, yeah, no, you're gonna see that especially be the main component for the gem trick that you saw me use in Floria Highway. So yeah, this is a very straightforward stage, and at the end is going to be another case of a middle boss that guards the goal gate. Now, I don't quite understand why the game is trying to. Oh, wait a second. I think I do know. Hold on a second. Let me fix that, because I just realized why I'm running on the high profile. Let's fix that right here. There we go. I was seriously causing myself to lose time for absolutely no reason. I keep forgetting that one of the big downsides to the game options is that when you start a new file, the game will reset the default graphics setting, unlike Spark 3 later on, so it is what it is. And then we got to defeat this enemy in order to break the barrier and then cause the goal to appear like that. And voila. That is the stage. And now we should be going ahead and just all that jazz to Castella Blanca. Now, this is a personal favorite stage of mine because I love the fact that it calls back to Hanging Castle and Mystic Manor from Sonic Heroes, just by the level vibe alone. But you're going to see me skip 95% of the level in just, like, under a minute if all goes well. So, let's go ahead, jump up to here, this little teleporter right there. And now I'm going to switch to Power Armor. Now, Power Armor is also nifty in that while it has a singular mid-air dash, it is also far flying, so it actually goes much longer than most mid-air dashes. Edgy, on the other hand, lends... Oh, gosh, that would have been bad. I want to say that's never happened before, but I'd be lying, so don't scratch your bingo cards yet, folks. It's going to happen to somebody else, probably not me.
Just pretend, pretend it's true.
I'm not a liar, Sam. Why would I lie to the audience? That's unbecoming of me. But yeah, no, we're all good. And then we just get through there like so. Edgy has 3 mid-air dashes, and so combine that with the jump boost for the charge move in mid-air, and yeah, it's bar none the best for platforming in general. So, welcome to Float. You might recall her looking a little bit different if you played Spark 3 already, but this is her first foray as an enemy, and she is probably one of the most difficult bosses for casual players to jump into. I would say it's a bit of a difficulty spike, but I also like the fact that Lake does try to pull off the gloves just a little bit here. You'll see what makes her a bit tough, though, very shortly, because where most bosses had 1 phase, she has 2. And she also fully recharges her HP. So now we also have this red circle that in maybe a few seconds before I got off it, yeah, it's going to start chasing me and gradually drain my health. So I want to be very careful, and this is where I usually opt not to go for Challenge Jester. And there down she goes. Also, big props to the moon in the background, just a really nice little touch right there. This is supposed to be like, pretty sure the tower has like some holographic technology, some state-of-the-art stuff, as I recall from the storytelling. And yeah, Haxim in the chat is completely correct in that Float, in her Spark 3 appearance, she is currently purchasable on Makeship, where you can buy a plushie of her. I actually have a couple of the Spark series stuff. I particularly have Spark himself in his Spark 3 jacket, as well as him in Wind Jester, which was a pretty popular Spark 1 Jester power, and it basically shows what would have happened if regular Jester powers had mostly returned in that game. I'd explain, but it's a bit of a long story, so I shall refrain. But
all good speedrunners have merch of their games.
You're not wrong. Alright, so let me try to reposition myself, because I totally just got lost for a sec. And we're going to do another gem to make our way up to the goal ring, because here in Shantoria Town... okay, gotta try that again. I'm going to opt for the safety and just go for this one. And we are flying. So the reason why Plasma Sword is very good for pushing me back in midair like this is its non-charge projectile move when you press the Y button or the strong attack button has a bit of a pushback. But when you activate another move like the edgy jump charge, then there's a little glitch that causes the knockback to further go beyond its normal capacity. And while this glitch did get patched out in the most modern version, it is still accessible in this, which is 1.2.1, as well as 1.3.0. We're going to try that again. And as we go through Technoria City, I do want to give a quick shout out to Jet Set Radio, which this feels very inspired by, for sure.
Yeah, you didn't mention this game was inspired by Halo 2. It's even got sword flying.
You know, that's a very good point now that you bring it up. And I also want to once again bring it back to XF Extreme Formula, because this level does have advertisements for the game, but this was well before Lake actually started working on XF proper. And yes, that very mysterious figure is one of the playable racers in that game. Like I said, very F-Zero inspired and a very fun time. Definitely give yourself a chance to either buy it or even play the demo if you so choose. Alright, so as we proceed through and onward, I will say my platforming has been a bit scuffed today, so it is what it is. And I've been saying that maybe 5 times so far, so I'll try to reel it back and instead reel it in for Sam to say any announcements or what have you.
It is what it is, it's very true. I don't blame you for saying it.
It is what it is. Oh gosh. Oh, okay. Nah, we're dying there. Let's restart the checkpoint. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, we are still raising money here for Save the Children today. If you get any donations in, that is what the money is going towards. It is a very good cause. And
Absolutely.
yeah, if you don't know anything about Save the Children.
Whoop. I think you just, I think Sam just clipped out for a second there.
The clipping out is called I let go of my push to talk button.
All good.
But yeah, if you don't know anything about Save the Children, Save the Children led a massive worldwide effort that helped reduce newborn deaths by over 40% since the year 2000, saving 1.5 million babies per year. So, it's a very good cause, and if you want to get any money in for that cause, it is highly appreciated. So don't miss your chance.
Absolutely, yeah. Folks, let's keep on seeing how much money we can raise today. I know this is only the road to SDAT, and I know we've got the proper events coming up these next couple of weekends, but anything we can raise definitely has my appreciation, so let's see what we can do about that, eh? And also, thank you so much to everybody that's donated to my incentive. Truly appreciate that. Again, it wasn't necessarily something that's, like, spectacular or whatever, but getting to use Hammer Jester is just a nice cathartic feeling, because, I feel like it's underrepresentation, the fact that it's maybe... I honestly still haven't really figured out what the true merits of using that power is, but it's just a fun little callback to Hammer Kirby, as well as Amy Rose, of course, so... one of those things.
I feel like there's a certain irony of being inspired by Kirby and having Hammer be the worst one.
That is true. That is too true. And this is EJ, by the way. I forgot to mention that we also have another Shadow clone here, except it's a clone of Fark, apparently. So this clone just got out-cloned and whatever the heck. But actually, we're going through a little bit of story dialogue here that I just skipped. That at this point, before fighting Double, we just learned that Freom, the previous villain of the first game, is our creator, and therefore technically our father. So we just had a bit of a Darth Vader moment here, and now we're taking on one of a few robots. Double was one of Float's cohorts, and so he's obviously... Oh, flashing warning, right, forgot about that. So, Double here has some screen flashing shockwave moves, especially when in close proximity. And so I'm going to try and parry that, but also finish him as fast as possible. And he's going to use that move one more time before he officially goes down. He is the only boss to have a final gambit like this. And, well, I failed it. But hey, no problem. Cool guys don't look at non-explosions, something to that effect.
The cool guys don't look at flashing lights warnings.
That's also fair, too. Now, we go into Terminal Dragoon, and folks, I like trains. If you know, you know. So this train level right here is another case of a straightforward level design. And we're just going to try and make as much use of momentum. Movement options are fairly limited here. It's more so the idea that there's a lot of boost pads and air rings. They actually limit your forward momentum. They do give you an acceleration but in terms of like increasing our top speed, we actually try to avoid that unless absolutely necessary. For instance, if I bonk. So, yeah, one of those typical game design elements, if you will. It certainly wouldn't be the first time that sort of thing has happened into gaming. That right there was a pickup for Hammer, by the way, and I'll actually be using the shop feature to acquire that, since I'll be setting up for the Freedom Mark III boss before our final level. So basically, the incentive would have cut off once we had reached the end of the second to last level. Oh, that's a bit tragic right there. So I forgot to mention what happens when you fully charge your energy to a ×3 damage multiplier. Your charge attack also becomes a special move that also completely drains your energy gauge, and I wanted to avoid using that. So we're gonna go into the final instance of a mini-boss guarding a gate, and yeah, that's a bit tragic that I won't be able to use my best effort here with damage output, but we'll just mosey on along. I gotta say though, the Dragoon, or the Dragon, I used to say Terminal Dragoon by pure Freudian slip, and I was just gonna say I like this guy's design. He's pretty slick. And also the only instance of a boss that instantly ends the level instead of spawning the goal ring, it just instantly ends the level. So we'll see how this all goes. Absolutely, Nick. Yeah, I should mention that in terms of records, in terms of PBs, the main game leaderboard uses loadless removal time thanks to an auto splitter that you can easily download on the SRC leaderboard. And so that's one way of doing such, but we also do allow IGT and RTA in case you do not have the means to set up the loadless script. But aside from that, you are going to get a much faster time to put on the leaderboard if you indeed use that. I don't know what it is with the game trying to slow down on that section, because I literally need to do a magnet dash off of that ramp. So, that's just typical marathon luck right there, I'd say. Alright. We're just going to go for it then. That is fine with me. But yeah. Now, I will say some people have done some IL runs off of the Xbox version. It's actually been found that using Biker Jester, which I will show off for funsies, on Hyperath Fleet, the penultimate level, it actually does have some pretty good speed purpose, comparable to that of Plasma Jester. And if you ever see that little blue arrow icon pop up below my health bar, that means I am in a state of acceleration boost, which means that my acceleration rate goes much faster, and the charge attack for Plasma Sword Jester gives you, I want to say maybe 10 seconds or so of doing that. So we're going to do a exhausted magnet dash right there. That didn't quite pull through, so we're instead going to just... There we go. I'm just going to show how... What the... Jeez. Okay, so what exactly happened was that is a intentional level design where Lake wants you to jump over the boost pad to get yourself out of that otherwise infinite loop. And then we're done. That was Scary Astropolis. I'd say a very Japanese-inspired train station level for sure, and one that I absolutely appreciate. Also,
we do love train and train-related levels.
Heck yeah. Also, I get the feeling like my tripod is completely and utterly botching my camera view. I just realized I'm probably looking very slanted on the feed. So this is Titanic Tower, the most vertical level of the game, and this is where I get to pull off a really cool demonstration of how the Plasma Sword glitch can really, really make you fly. So, the Mimic, a speedrunner of Sonic Adventure DX as well as the Spark series, came up with this original discovery, and then found that you can skew your gravity by using that boost pad right there, and then continually pushing yourself up with the projectile wave from Plasma Sword to fly all the way up to this tower. Thus, the world record for this individual level is at least 57 or so seconds. I know Nick did manage to beat it by a little bit, but Mimic was the long-standing record holder for any percent minimum tech, and it's such a really cool way of just cutting through the level altogether. I very much love this part of the run.
You know, this is very goofy to see, just flying up using a sword like that.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So now we've got our boss, Flint. This is the quote-unquote student of Double, except he kind of knows that there were some very shady things behind Double, because Double had one of the things we called Double out on is that he really doesn't care about liberating robot kind. He's got a bit of a bloodlust for both formies and robots. And that's one of the things about Spark lore that not a lot of people realize. So we're actually on the moon that has been terraformed by some pretty stellar technology. That's why there's this whole planetary ring around the whole world itself, and thus what looks like the moon in the distance is actually Earth. This game supposedly takes place like long after mankind has gone extinct, and yet the Formy race has inhabited what was the moon, and they're like anthropomorphic space ants at best. So yeah. Anyway, that was Flint. His whole gimmick is speed, whereas he may not be as strong as Double, but he is pretty agile, so yeah. Personal favorite boss of mine, but we are now going into what is my favorite level of the game, Planetary Stripe. This is very unique because it features absolutely no enemies, and instead, if you want to get a score medal on this stage, you have to do so by using the bit bubbles, as well as collecting as many bits and other score-raising things that you can possibly get out of it. But otherwise, it is absolutely very, very rewarding on speed, and it features all sorts of gravity-flipping shenanigans as well. You're definitely going to see me do a little something in just a bit, where I'm going to go into this warp gate to flip right there, and then boom, magnet dash there, and then I'm gonna do the little safety to magnet dash again, and then oh, that was close. That should be okay. And okay, I bumped a little bit, but that's fine. That's not okay. Okay, can I save it? Yes, let's go. So that's the nice thing about the Jester charge dash, is that you're still able to use that even if you use all of your regular midair dashes, but you also only get like one to use no matter what. So until you like manage to rejuvenate it mostly by landing on solid ground, it is a nice little backup trick to have for little emergencies like that. And I do want to give a shout out to the composer Andy Tongstall for such an amazing original soundtrack, and also providing the vocals for any vocal themes during the boss fights. Like, the special boss theme that you heard me use when facing off against EJ, Rhino Dino, and Turbo Bird, that's actually a carryover from the first Spark game, but then the special boss theme that's unique to this game is an absolute jam. Oh, right, I was supposed to pick up Biker Jester. You know what, it's fine. Welcome to Hyperath Fleet, or as my pal Argic likes to call Hyperath, Yeet. Arg is also a runner of the Spark community as well, and a very damn good one at that. I know he said he plans on trying to see if he can do minimum tech runs at some point as well, so whenever you're ready, my guy, look forward to it. I look forward to it. And with that, this is essentially a upgraded version of the Megarath fleet level from Spark 1, even featuring the very same level theme used in that game. So, again, there's a little bit of carryover from Spark 1 and Spark 2, perhaps a bit blatantly, but in this case I find it pretty passable, especially since I would best describe this level as, what if you took the opening cutscene of Sonic Unleashed and made it into a stage, and that's exactly this, and it's beautiful.
I think that's something everybody wants.
Oh, I'm sure they would. Speaking of Sonic, by the way, oh, I am very excited for Sonic X Shadow Generations. Be on the lookout for that, folks. It's going to be great. So, as we proceed through the rest of the airship armada, we have basically continued our pursuit of Freon, and no, thankfully I got the checkpoint right there. The whole idea is with Flint, he told us that this AI that we once received a bit of a message from called Clarity is not to be trusted, and so we have to be very wary of that. There was another character that was following us around who seemed to pose as an ally. Her name is Astra, and she was also being joined by Ramallo, which is a character returning from Spark 1, who is a friend of Spark himself. So it all seems like everything is all hunky-dory, aside from the fact that we gotta beat Freum again, and yet things are about to get a little complicated not too long after. So this is also probably the longest action stage to go through, just in general. Like, this consistently has some of the longest level time going for it when it comes to just platforming and, oh gosh, Spark, can you get out of there, please? Thank you. Oh, yeah. That's, okay, yeah, I'm gonna say it now, that's never happened before.
We got one.
I don't get it. It always happens with me in any kind of a event run, no matter what I've practically done and have yet to do.
It happens to everyone, I think.
It really does. It really does. It just seems to be very consistent with yours truly. Come on, keep it up, Fark. There we go. That little section before I did the Skyfall did have heightened gravity, which meant that I was getting pushed down very consistently, and so I had to be mindful of how to maneuver that platform. And, of course, I bonk into that thing, so I'm just going to go up the up ramp. Oh, come on. Really, game? I am getting bullied today. This is an okay run and all, but, man, I was not expecting to be met with this much resistance. We'll see how it goes for the rest of the way through, though. And up here, no, I did not mean to do that. I will say that the Unity engine here, Lake built these 3D Spark games off of Unity. The hedge physics engine that he made through Unity is pretty solid and all, but one huge downside is that when you go up a slope and then suddenly stop, you will fall, and you can't get back up unless you go from a up ramp or something that naturally gets you back up that slope. So that is the one thing that I would criticize about Spark's physics, but otherwise it is pretty responsive as can be, and it's a very fun and rewarding game to try yourself, even if just casually. So yeah, please support Lake and consider getting these games for yourself. I may not necessarily be doing the run all that much justice, but we are doing pretty good, and my 44-minute estimate is just a huge, generous safety net just in case, so I think we're going to be well under it for what it's worth. Oh, now we get to face Astra and Ramallo. Here we go. So, yeah, Astra turns out to be very dedicated to her position as an agent of clarity, and she's not too happy that we're basically just trying to do this our own way now, and so she's like, okay, you know what, I gotta put an end to you before you become a threat. And, yeah, Ramallo, he means well, but clearly he trusts Astra more than he does Fark, which, understandable. Fark did used to work for Freum in the first game. He was actually trying to betray him so that he could then land the final blow on him, but, you know, Spark had a little something to say about that himself, and it was he who finished the job. By the way, shout out to Spark right here. I forgot to show off that plush, so there you go, buddy. And now, thanks to your generous donations, we're going to go ahead and we're going to buy Edgy, Biker, and Hammer to properly set up for the incentive. And I figure I'd also showcase Biker Jester, just as a nice way to give you all a look into what that's like. But for now, we actually got to pull off our final major gem of the run. So I'm going to need just a little bit of serious time for this. Okay. Oh, wait. I royally screwed myself up there, excuse me. So allow me to explain what exactly went wrong there. I was supposed to have Plasma Jester. I am a dummy. So let's just go ahead and try this one more time. Wow, that's silly.
Eh, it just means we get to see more Spark the Electric Jester too, that's all.
Oh yeah, you're not wrong. But hey, I did get a little cameo for Biker Jester, so it won't be used properly, but at least you got to see it for, like, just a moment. So, I'm just gonna push around. Okay, unfortunately that botched, so I will have to do that one more time. There is room for error with this trick, it's just that as long as you have the bubble, it's all well and good. So long as it didn't, like, you didn't pop it, you're fine. And then we're just going to moon maneuver on over here. Oh, that's unfortunate. I did not quite hit the checkpoint, so I just figured a quick restart will save us some time. And we're going to do that again. This is still going to be the fastest way to complete the stage. And when Nick discovered this, I was just blown away, for real. One important aspect of the gem is you want to hold down the jump button. Otherwise, your jump height will not go any further when you do the initial launch. So holding the jump button actually gives you even more height. Ah, that's unfortunate. I actually wanted to restart the stage because I accidentally popped the bubble, so yeah. Let's try this one more time. Dang it, what is with like, man, come on. Really? Now the game just really wants to embarrass me, huh? Oh. Alright. I blame that one on nerves, so let's go for it one more time. Wow. I was starting off just fine. What happened? Perfect. That looks about right. Oh, come on! I was so close. That was so close. Dang it. That was almost good. I just shot it a little too far. All right, this time I'm feeling it. Come on.
You got this.
Okay, come on. If that's not it, let's go. Oh, holy moly. Okay, now we just jump onto here. We go through the most vertical section of the game. This is easily the gatekeeper of good speeds on Apocalypse Thruster because this is just an entire running up the wall section. You gotta maintain your skewed gravity upon that wall if you even hope to make it decently out of that entire section. Oh, and there we go. So now we are in atmospheric re-entry. So this whole entire thing is just a giant rocket booster that's literally poised to crash into the planet so that Freon can build his empire over the ashes of previous civilization. He is very much bent on killing everything. So we're going to make sure we don't let that happen. And now we're going to do so with style. So we're going to bring down the hammer. Because, again, you had your generous donations to save the children for me to show off Hammer Jester here. And now I'm going to let Sam basically talk a little bit about some more things and stuff. But what you do need to know is that there will be 3 forms of Freum. Once again, the HP bar will recover between each. And yes, I was also just about to bring up that there is some screen flashing. He basically mimics some of the moves from what we saw with Flint, Float, and Double, sort of. All right, Sam, go ahead.
All right. Just as a reminder to everybody, we are raising money for Save the Children here at SDAT 2024. So be sure to get those donations in.
Absolutely so. All right. So now we're going to do something a little bit special as I finish off this final phase of Freedom Mark III. I'm just going to push back because, by the way, when you stand close to an explosion, it does lag the game. And so now you're actually going to see me turn down the music for a little special something that you'll understand when we get into our final boss fight against Freedom Mark Ultimate. And it's going to feature Fark going into his very own super form. And, yeah, with that, let's just load this track up right here, and then here we go. So this is the final boss theme that normally plays if you're playing on version 1.3.0, but because the song doesn't normally play on version 1.2.1, I have a little bit of a backup plan to at least treat y'all to the amazingness that is this cover of the original Spark 1 theme. So we're now going to go through 3 more phases of Freedom, and then time will be once we get the final hit on the last one and the cutscene following starts. So once that happens, that will be time. Now, the good news is that I don't have to worry about dying because this just goes into a cutscene where you just restart the phase, and that's about it, so. Here we go.
So this boss arena is giving me Kingdom Hearts vibes.
Oh yeah, this is very Xemnas-like. This is very, very Xemnas-like, I would agree. And Freedom is switching between weapons. You saw him start with a sword, he's going with a spear, and then for the final phase, it'll be just his bare fists. And these cutscenes are unskippable. The only ones in the game. They're pretty cool, though. They're very, very anime, I would dare say. Alright, so like I said, final phase, I will call time once the last cutscene upon the final hit plays, so get ready. But here we go. Keep the damage at ×3. And let's see if we can at least get this from going over the estimate. Come on, just a little bit more. And time.
GG's.
Thank you very much. And that, folks, is Spark the Electric Jester 2, any percent minimum tech. I do apologize, my performance was less than optimal today, but we managed to keep it under the estimate, and we managed to also get that amazing incentive of showing off the wonderful Hammer Jester power to be used against Freedom. So I'm pretty content with that, and I hope you all are too. With that in mind, shout out to the Spark the Electric Jester speedrunning community. If you'd like to join our Discord, we do have a link that you can find on the official speedrun.com leaderboards. And yeah, it's a very cool community. Of course, shout out to folks like The Mimic, Shovel Claws, as well as Argic, Nia, and many, many more. Y'all rock. Keep this. And then, of course, the just overall fans of Spark the Electric Jester for keeping this franchise alive and well, because indie games definitely deserve all the support that we can for them. Alright, with that in mind, that'll be it for me. I know we've got plenty more speedruns ahead, but yeah, that's basically it. That's all I had to show for the entire event. So if you guys would like to follow me, I'm TempestMask1000 on Twitch as well as YouTube, and you can also check my Twitter at @It'sTempestSteve. I also got a Blue Sky at TempestMask. I do not have a constant streaming schedule, so I do try to post updates on when I do plan on going live and all that jazz. So let's just do one last thing. Nope. And with that, thank you so much to Speed Docs, to CC and CJ for having me back. Always a pleasure to help with these events. And yeah, not much else to say except keep on raising money for Save the Children, y'all. We're doing a great thing for all the young ones out there that need our support. And that's all there really is to it. So, till we next meet, folks. Ciao, amici.